Welcome back to my channel. So today, you can see today's video is going to be about it's going to be like a story time about my labor and delivery story, just because I wanted to go more in depth in it and tell you like how it exactly went down, how the epidural feels, how just stuff like that. So yeah, and here's baby right there. He's gonna cry because he's hungry. Like he needs to eat in about like 30 minutes. But yeah, so let's get into the video. Hey guys, okay, so welcome. And like I said in the intro, I am doing a story time on my labor and delivery. And I have been gone for like 2 weeks. I think it's been like exactly 2 weeks or longer. But I have just been adjusting to the mom life, and let me tell you, it's been hard to adjust in the beginning, like the first, I say, week, maybe going into 2 weeks, because I did not get any sleep. His schedule was basically like at night when you're supposed to be asleep, he was awake, and in the like morning during the day he was asleep. Yeah, he was asleep. And he was like never awake, so like it was opposite. So it was hard because obviously I would still be awake sometimes during the day, but not only that, is when I had his appointments, I was dead. Like I was literally dead. Like I was tired. I hated going to the appointments. Originally when I was pregnant, I liked going to the appointments just because it was like somewhere I can go out and, you know, see how he's doing everything. And if you hear him, he's crying right now, so I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. His passy had fell out. So where was I? Oh yeah, so the appointments. So I did not like the appointments. Like I was super tired. I was dead. Like I just was not having it. So I tried to adjust him to get to, like, you know, switch his schedule around where he's awake when I'm awake and he's asleep when I'm asleep. So now he is like that. It has been a lot easier since the beginning, just because, you know, his schedule is switched. And I mean, obviously I still have to wake up like every 3 hours. I do wake myself up earlier than 3 hours, like 30 minutes before or longer, just because sometimes he starts crying earlier to get food, so I at least feed him within 2 hours and 30 minutes, or like every 3 hours. But he does wake up on his own to eat. And in the beginning he didn't so much do that. I had to wake him up to eat. So now he wakes up on his own. So now I actually have to wake myself up earlier to give me time to make his bottle and you know, get his stuff ready. Because he does drink he just drinks 3 ounces, so I don't want to waste the extra ounce that's in there. So I like have to switch it in the bottle, and then I actually have to go all the way to the kitchen and put that ounce in the refrigerator. But this is not what this video about, but I was just updating y'all on how it's going. And I probably still look tired. I don't know if I do, but I have been getting sleep. And he's actually like awake more often. Like he's actually like awake most of the time during the day. Like he's just awake. I don't wake him up or anything, but he's like awake chilling. Like he literally just is there like staring into space. But he's super cute. I am like loving it. One thing is that he doesn't like laying in his crib or his like little thing. Sometimes he'll like chill and lay down, but I've been putting him in his bouncer, and then like the pillow thing. Like I had that pillow thing I had showed in the other video, the nursing pillow or whatever, because he likes being sit up to sleep. So I just have to make sure, because he is super small. He's in newborn clothes, so I have to make sure, you know, his head and his body is right in the bouncer. So I put like the little receiving blankets, I roll them up and everything. But besides that, that was just a little update. Now let's get into the video. So for my labor and delivery story, let's see, it was, okay, so on December, so starting like winter break, which was, for me, it started on the 20th. And that from there on, I think it was 37 weeks when I had went into winter break. And he's crying again. I'll be right back. So like I said, I was 37 weeks when I had went into winter break, which started on December 20th, for me at least. So I did not want to go anywhere because I didn't want to risk, you know, having my water break or anything like that in public. Like, I just didn't go anywhere. So I didn't want to go anywhere, but I did have to go somewhere a couple of times. But after that, like, once we got it done, I was like, no, I want to go straight home. Because in my last, I think in one of my other videos, every time we go to church, we either go like out to eat, to the movies, or we go to the store. So I did not want to do any of that. Like, I just wanted to go where we had to go and go straight home. And if I didn't have to go anywhere, I would stay home. So then we were just watching it. And when it was December 31st, me and like everyone else were getting really excited because we were hoping he would be born on January 1st. That did not happen. So obviously that didn't happen. But during Christmas, we had celebrated it early, so the last Sunday before Christmas, I was having, that night I started to have like sharp pains, and it was normal for me to have that because I was having it before, but it wasn't like, it was like once in a while, and I just thought it was like cramps, you know. So I was like, okay, it's just a cramp, you know, deal with it. And it was where I would feel the pain, I think it's like where your pelvic area is. Like, let me show you. So it was like right here, you know, like right here. And when I felt the pain, I felt it like from the lower part of my stomach down, like if it felt like a sharp pain going down, like down there. So it, like, obviously it was like but it wasn't like, it's like I was in like terrible pain or anything. So it would happen once in a while, right? Blah blah blah. And then what happened was what's it called? On the last Sunday of Christmas, which where we celebrated on, was that night I was having it, right? And I started having it when I had got up. It was the point where I couldn't walk when it happened. Like, I had to like, you know, just make sure, like, stand somewhere and just try to have the pain go away, because when the sharp pain got to down there, like, it was like I wanted to like crumble, like, not crumble, well, you know what I mean. And so it would happen like that, right? And I was like, okay, well, it's probably just because I was walking around a lot, so maybe that's why I'm having it. So that day passes by, you know, I have it a few more times during the day, and everything was fine. And then it was December 31st, like, I'm gonna fast forward to December 31st, and that's when we were, everyone was getting excited because I did want him to be a New Year's baby. That obviously didn't turn out happening. So on December 31st, I was getting excited, like I said, and then on January 1st, nothing was happening. Besides, I was getting that sharp pain. Again, these sharp pains were actually contractions, but I did not think they were contractions because everybody, the way they explained their contractions to me was that you were having like this, you know, tightness in your back area and in like your like side stomach area. And I wasn't having that. Like, they were more lower down, like where I showed you. And I'm just gonna go ahead and pick him up, so I'll be right back. Okay, so here he is. He's right here if you want to see him. I don't know why he hasn't went to sleep. I did just feed him. But where was I? So yeah, it was January 1st, and during the day of January 1st, I was having the sharp pains. And I told my mom, and I was like, she's like, well, you think they're contractions? She's like, I think they're contractions, or like you're getting closer to, you know, labor. And I was like, well, they don't feel like contractions, like they're just, it's like, it just feels like a sharp pain. And like, it doesn't feel like, because I had Braxton Hicks like one time, and the way that felt was it was on the side of my stomach, and it felt like this, you know, like if it was going in and then out, but with a pain to it. So I was like, it's not contractions, like it's just cramps, right? But I was thinking, like, you know, I was like, I am getting closer into labor. So that happened, and my mom did work. She works overnight, so we were hoping it didn't happen when she didn't have anybody, like when she didn't have anybody with her to help her at work. So fast forward to night, I started having it when I was laying in bed, and I was like, well, that's weird, I only have it when I'm walking around, right? So I was like, okay, you know, and it was actually like the pain was getting a little more like intense than it was. Again, I was able to handle the pain, so I'm just, the way I'm like saying it, I'm just saying, just so you know, like, you know, the pain was getting higher. So I started having it, and I was like, well, that's weird, so whatever, I just dealt with it, you know, because I was chilling in bed watching some YouTube videos. And then it got to the point where I was like, I never thought to like look it up, so I was like, well, what can that mean? And basically it said that I was getting close into labor. Bless you. So I look it up and whatever, and I still don't think it's contractions. So I decided to tell my mom around like almost 3 o'clock, so I'd say about like 2 in the morning. I told my mom, I go ahead and call, because when I had the pain, I tried to like, I literally just tried to get comfortable and whatever, and nothing was working, nothing was stopping it. And I tried to like get up and sit crisscross up, like Indian style, but I call it crisscross applesauce, whatever. But I try to do that, and I just try to rock myself like this. And when I had the sharp pain, oh no, I tried to lay down, and like that didn't work. So I was like, what should I tell my mom? And I was more hesitant to not tell her, which was not good. But I did tell her, and she called me, and she's like, well, have you been like keeping track how far apart they are or whatever? And I was like, no, like I don't think it's contractions, I just like, all I feel is like a sharp pain, that's it. So she's like, no, Mercedes, like they're contractions, like they are contractions. And I was like, oh. And so I was just like basically like laughing and smiling, like, are you serious? And I was like, okay, blah blah blah. So she tells me like to keep track, so I have this app, and I was keeping track, and they were about like, I think they were like 3 minutes apart. And so I was keeping track. She called me back about, I'd say 15 minutes later, but she told me not to get out of bed, like do not walk around or nothing. I did get up a couple times because I had to go pee, but I did not, like if I felt like I had to push, I was not gonna push, because I did not want to have my baby in the toilet. So I was handling it, and she called me back saying, I'm just gonna leave for work, I'm already done, like everything's done, I'm gonna have to leave. She's like, don't get up until I get there. And I was like, well, I need to get some stuff ready, because I didn't have everything ready yet, because I couldn't pack everything. So I was like, okay. So I didn't get up, right? And I was like I get like anxious, like I think that's how you say it, anxious. And so I want to get up, and I didn't get up though, but like about 15 minutes before, I just ended up getting up and getting some stuff ready. When she got here, and she's like, well, can you get up? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine, like it doesn't hurt that bad, like I'm fine. And she's like, okay, well, if you could get up and everything, start getting your stuff ready. So she started getting ready, I started getting ready. I called my boyfriend, and I told him, you know, get up, it's happening, it's here, like he's probably coming. And so he got his stuff ready. He ended up falling about to sleep, but that's another story. But we got my stuff ready, we left. It didn't take that long to get ready, and blah blah blah, right? So we left, and we went to the hospital, and the contractions were still happening, like, but to me the contractions, they were tolerable, like I could tolerate them. Like it was like, it hurt, but it wasn't to the point where I was like, the way everybody else describes them, like they said that contractions were gonna be the worst part of your pregnancy, and they were gonna hurt, and you're probably gonna cry. And like I didn't cry at all. Like to me, I don't know, like it didn't hurt whatsoever. I mean, it would hurt, but like it wasn't to the point where it was like everybody talked about it. So my contractions were pretty fine to me. And when I went to the hospital, I changed into the gown. I went into this like area, and then they checked me, and I didn't have the epidural or anything yet. Like, they were just checking me, my I don't know, like how fast my contractions were going and blah blah, like keeping track of my contractions. And they had put that like that thing on your stomach where it keeps track of your contractions. So they were doing that, and they were like, you're doing good on your contractions. And I was like laughing, smiling. I was like, it was like a normal day for me. Not a normal day, but you know, like everything was fine. Like I felt fine and whatever. And I was basically just laughing and like having a good time at the hospital. And so they were like, you're doing like good on your contractions. Like they were surprised and whatever. So I was like, really? And so I did want to get the epidural anyways, like from the birth, because I was not gonna go all natural. So I did ask them, like, because I was afraid that if I got the epidural, that it wasn't gonna like last through the until the birth. So I was gonna wait as long as possible. But they did say that I could they could refill it or whatever. Like you basically you can get as much as you want, but obviously hopefully nobody would be like blasting that thing over the top. So at that point I didn't get the epidural. The contractions were getting stronger. I felt it, they were getting a little stronger. And I was like, well, if I don't gotta be feeling these contractions, then why should I? So I was like, when I got to the room, they told me like, well, I had asked, I was like, well, when can I get the epidural? And they're like, when we'll get to your room, you can get the epidural. And I was like, okay. Because I was like, if I don't gotta be in pain, like in any type of pain, even though it wasn't that bad, I'm not gonna be in pain. So, what is it called? So they had checked me to see how to see how many centimeters I was. And they had told me I was 5 centimeters, but I was actually 4 centimeters. Because they had checked me in the room and they told me I was 4 centimeters because someone else checked me. So I was 4 centimeters, and after that I went into the delivery room, and they hooked me up and everything, and they checked me again. And okay, this was like crazy to me. Before that, they had put their hand in like down there, and I was like they were like, okay, so they had told me like, this probably gonna feel really uncomfortable and you're gonna hate me. So they had put like their hand in there. To me it looked like their whole hand, because when they took their hand out, like I saw like, you know, like wet, you know. So I was like, what the heck, you put that far of your hand in there? And I didn't even like actually feel anything, or not that I didn't feel anything, just like I was like super surprised that they had almost put like their whole hand in there. And I was like, you know. And so back to I was in the living room, they had checked me again, 4 centimeters, and they basically just asked me any questions. The guy with the epidural came in, and when they were about to do the epidural, I had to go pee. And when I have to go pee, oh my gosh, and I'm like holding it in, no, like that's the worst feeling ever to me. So what is it called? I was like, well, can I go pee before I get the epidural? Remind you that I had all this stuff like, you know, hooked onto me, so I couldn't, and I don't think I could just take it off and like go pee and then hook it back on. That's too complicated. So like, well, can you wait until like we do the epidural, like after the epidural, so they could put that like tube thing in you? And I was like, okay, yeah, I could wait. And nope, I should have said no, but like it probably wasn't gonna change anything. So while they were doing the epidural, like the way they position you is you have your legs Indian style, and then you have your legs Indian style, and then like you bend over and you have your head like fully down to your chest, like your chin. But that wasn't working for me. Like they had said that they were like talking, but I could tell when they were getting worried. So I was like, what happened? And I didn't just like not talk to them. I was like, well, what's going on? Like blah blah blah. So I had asked, and I was like, what's going on? And they had said that his heart rate was going down because the way I was positioned. So they tried it 2 times, it wasn't working. So they had to lay me down on my side, and I had to have my head down like that, like to my head down, but to my what is it called, my chin to my chest. And then they like positioned me where my legs, like if I was like crumbled into a ball. And so I was like that, but it was really uncomfortable because I had to go pee. So like that plus the epidural like being put in you, like both of that combined is really uncomfortable. So I did get like a little teary, not because it hurt or anything, because I was really uncomfortable. So like my sensitivity came in. So but the epidural itself, it didn't hurt like whatsoever. What happened? So it didn't hurt. They had put it in me. All I felt was like the poke, so I kind of like, you know, like I felt like I not jumped but just like twitched a little bit, and I just felt like a poke. And it didn't hurt, but it was just like a weird feeling because I felt like, I don't know how it works if it's like a needle that goes up you, but I just felt like if it was like a stream of water going up your spine. So that's how I felt it. And they just put like, I didn't know how my back looked, but I felt like if there was like a lot of tape, because they told me they were putting tape, but it just felt like a lot of tape on my back. And so they had helped me up and everything, and then I was like, well, can I go pee now? And they were like, yeah, we're gonna put the thing in you, whatever. And I said, and they were like, I was like, well, does it hurt? And she's like, no, it's just probably gonna be uncomfortable. But I didn't want it to hurt. So I was like, she's like, well, do you want to wait like 30 minutes? Do you want, or she's like, no, do you want to wait a little bit, so like to have the epidural kick in so you don't feel anything? And I was like, yeah, I'll wait. And so my mom comes in, and I was like, she's like, what's wrong? I was like, I have to go pee, because I was still a little bit teary, and I was like, I have to go pee. And everybody started laughing because it was like really over pee. So she was like, well, you're gonna end up peeing on yourself like if you wait too long. And I was like, I didn't want it to hurt, so I was like, okay, I'll wait 5 minutes and I'll do it. So I waited 5 minutes. They would do it. They'd put it in me, and honestly, all I felt was like cotton balls like going like up me, right? Put it on, like I peed right away, and let me tell you, I did not feel anything. Like I did not think I peed whatsoever. Like I was like, she's like, oh, you peed, and I was like, really? Like I didn't feel anything. And what is it called? After that, like everything was fine. Like I said, after that, what happened was my water didn't break still, and it didn't break, and they had to break it for me. So one of the guys did come in, one of the guy nurses or doctor, whatever he was. He came in and he checked to see like how dilated it was, or he just checked to see like what was going on right up there. And what happened was he like felt like, I guess, my bag, and he wasn't supposed to break it. Like he was going to, but he wasn't planning on breaking it right there and then, right? So when he put his hand in there, like again, I can't feel anything, and I was just like, you know, like waiting to see what he said, because when they put it in there, they're just like, you know, like feeling around, I guess. So he was like, oh, your water broke, and I was like, it broke? And he's like, yeah. No, actually he didn't even say that. He was like, oh, I ruptured her bag or whatever. And I was like, what does that mean? I told the nurse that was right next to me, and I was like, what does that mean? And she was like, your water broke. And I was like, really? And he was all surprised. He was like, I wasn't supposed to break her water, but you know, it happened. And I was like, is that okay? And he's like, yeah, we were gonna break it anyways, but I think they were gonna do it with a tool, but he was doing it with his hand. And I was like, honestly pretty happy that he actually broke my water with his hand, because I didn't want to have a tool go in me. And so everything worked out perfectly. They actually was like, yeah, that's fine. Like after that, they were like, yeah, that's fine, because they think it's better to do it with your hand, and that it happens, you know, out of nowhere on accident. That was perfect. And his reaction was pretty funny, because he was like, oh, I ruptured it. And to me, like, rupture sounds pretty weird. So, but that happened, and everything worked out great on there. Everything, like, basically just talking in the room. And who was in the room, like, there was only 2 people allowed in the room. like while I was in labor, not while I was giving birth, but like labor. So it was my mom and my boyfriend that were in there, and then the nurses, obviously. And the nurses and the nurses were like amazing. I loved them and everything. So we were just waiting. The nurses would come and check me and blah blah blah. And then while I was there, they did put like this like I don't know, it looked like an exercise ball, but it was like peanut shaped. And then they put me on my side and whatever, and they would switch me over so like the epidural won't go too much on one side, because that did happen. And that did happen but what is it called, okay, so that once they did that, I had started feeling like a sharp pain, not sharp pain, but I thought I was feeling contractions, right? But it hurt worse than the contractions were feeling. And they said, and I was like, was there any like I was like, the epidural's not working. And they're like what do you feel? And I was like, it just like, it hurt really bad on one side. Like the epidural, that when I was laying on one side, the epidural went too much on one side. So the way I felt numb on one side, like on this side, was perfectly fine. I felt like normal numb. On this side, I just like, it felt super uncomfortable, like it just hurt and whatever, right? So I was like, okay, like the epidural's not working. Like the pain I felt where I had showed before, but on one side, and it was going like towards my leg, towards my thigh, like in the middle of my thigh. So I was feeling the pain from right there all the way up to where I had showed you in the beginning. So I was feeling the pain on that side, right? And I was like, the epidural isn't working. Like it hurts. Like it's like, it feels like contractions. Okay, so on top of that, as I was feeling contractions, as I was feeling my contractions, because the epidural wasn't working, I was like shaking like crazy. Like as I was crying, I was shaking like I was cold. Like, and when I tell you I was shaking, like I could not stop myself from shaking. I was like I don't know how, like it's just, I couldn't stop shaking. I don't know why. I wasn't so much, I think I was cold, but I wasn't so much because it was cold. I was just, I could not stop shaking. And then I wanted like ice chips, so I don't know if that helped, but that was like another part of like how I felt during that process when I was feeling this, you know. And they were like, it's probably just the pressure of your baby trying to like, you know, come out. And I was like, well, is there anything like y'all can give me? And they're like, okay, yeah, we can give you some type of medicine. So another doctor comes in, and it's a guy doctor, and I explained it to him, and so they give me the medicine. I forgot what it was called, but they give me the medicine, right? And it works. Like I'm just like, okay, I'm fine again, right? Well, it ends up wearing off, and it starts hurting again. And no, that part of my labor was like really painful. I was crying. I was super uncomfortable. Like it hurt, it hurt to the point where it was like that area, and then like my back, like just the whole numbness felt horrible. So what is it called? They couldn't, like they gave it to me again, but it just wasn't helping. So like another doctor had came in, a different guy doctor had came in, and they gave me the medicine, but it just wasn't helping, right? So, and I didn't want to keep pressing the epidural, because I was like, well, if the epidural's not hurting, I mean if the epidural isn't what is it called, if it's not working for like that part, like where it was hurting, then I'm not gonna keep putting it in. So that happened, right? And so they ended up giving me heating pads, and it helped a little bit, the heat of the pad, but I had to keep putting it on there. Like I was still feeling the pain, but it did help somewhat, right? So at that point, I think, no, at that point I was still feeling like just horrible. And so after that, they had to check me again, right? And I wasn't dilating. I was still staying on 4 centimeters. So they were like, okay, well, we're gonna wait 2 more hours to see if you're dilating more. and if you're not, we're gonna end up having to give you the medicine, a type of medicine, which was, it started with a P, and I forgot what type of medicine, I forgot what it was called, but it started with a P. So they said they were gonna have to give it to me. So 2 hours passed by, they checked me again, and they're like, okay, you're still 4 centimeters. I think I ended up waiting 4 hours, like in total, but it had passed by, and they were like, okay, you're still not dilated, so we're gonna put the medicine in you. And I was like, okay. And they were like, well, if that doesn't work, you're gonna end up probably needing a C-section. So I did get a little nervous at that point, because I was like, I don't want a C-section, but they were saying everything was okay and all that. So they put the medicine in me, and I think after that, my mom had a priest come in. And bless me. So that happened, and then I ended up falling asleep. We all ended up falling asleep in there, and when I woke up, that was a good nap. Like, I needed the nap. I felt a lot better, and my whole body, my whole just body in general felt like normal. Like, I wasn't in pain anymore. Like, it felt good. The nap felt good. His passy fell down. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. I had to say this other passy. So I had woke up, right? And the nurse was in there, and I woke up on time because she had to check me. So like I said, I didn't feel any pain whatsoever after I woke up. And she's like, okay, when I had woke up, she's like, okay, we're gonna check you. And I was like, okay. So she sticks her whole hand in there, and again, she sticks her whole hand in there, and I was just like, I didn't feel anything. And so she was like, you're 10 centimeters, and I was like, or 10 centimeters, yeah, 10 centimeters. And I was like, really? She's like, you're ready. And so I was like, I'm ready. And she's like, yeah. So my mom and my boyfriend ended up waking up, right? And I was like, okay, it's time, it's gonna happen. And I was like, and she's like, really? So we were all getting excited, and my mind was blown, oh my gosh, it's happening, you know? And well, during the labor, I actually was eating some ice chips, and if you don't know what that is, it's basically just crushed ice, but in little tiny cubes. And so, you know, besides that, and okay, someone had texted me, and I had ate some when she had told me, but I had ate a little bit, and it had started making me feel a little bit off. So I was like, I wanted to get up, and I told the nurse, I was like, yeah, I kind of want to get up because I ate some of the ice chips. And she's like, no, you can't do that. And I was like, oh, really? And so, but it was fine. So I didn't eat a lot though. I wasn't chugging it down. I just wanted something to put in my mouth. So so that happened, right? They start setting everything up, and they're getting the nurses in there, and I did not want any guys giving how do you say it? I just didn't want any guys, you know, doing it. So luckily, I was really glad that it was just a whole bunch of girls. And throughout my whole labor and delivery, all the nurses and everybody there were really helpful, and they were boosting up my energy and my confidence, whatever, you're doing great and all that. And especially when I was about to give birth, to push and everything, they were like, you're doing good. And I did feel his head when I was pushing. I was like, what? They had asked, and I was like, she was like, do you want to feel his head? And I was like, yeah. So I felt his head and everything, and it I think it was less than 10 minutes that I had pushed, and he came out. And again, I did not feel one single thing. I was just I didn't feel anything. When I tell you I didn't feel anything, I did not feel anything. And when he had came out, I didn't even know I had pushed him fully out. And until they threw they didn't throw him on me, until they put him on me, and he started crying and everything, and I was like, oh, I didn't cry or anything. I know a lot of moms cry. I didn't cry. That doesn't mean I wasn't happy, but I just didn't cry. I was really happy, and I was just like, everything was just so like, whoa. So that happened. They did skin to skin for an hour, and then they did everything else, and they weighed him. He was 6 pounds 15 ounces, and I was pretty disappointed before because they had told me that he was like, when I did my ultrasound, they had told me that he was 7 pounds, and I was like, oh, he's 7 pounds. Like, I wanted him to be a small baby. I mean, obviously that's still pretty small, but I want him to be a small baby. That doesn't mean like anything, I wasn't gonna love him or anything. I just wanted a little small baby. And so I was like, okay, you know. So when he told me they were 6 pounds, I was like, 6 pounds. So I was like, really? Like, I was like, oh, 6 pounds. And so that happened. We waited in there for a while. My mom had left, and but when he did come out, he peed on me. He peed on me. Like, he was totally naked. So and I was obviously naked too, but he peed on me. And then when they were gonna pick him up to like weigh him and everything, he pooped on me, and I was like, already you're gonna pee and poop on me? Okay, so then I did tear, I think twice. They were just little tears though. She did tell me that they were just little tears. And so that happened, and he was we had got moved to, they had dressed him and everything, and then we had got moved to the, like, what's it called? The other room. I forgot what the other room's called, where they move you. And when they had did that, they put me in a wheelchair because I couldn't like really walk, but I was able to end up getting back on my feet pretty soon. I just couldn't feel my legs. And they moved me to the room. We got settled in. I laid in my bed, and then they just told me like what they needed to tell me, that I had to pee in like a, like, not a cup, but like just this thing that was in the toilet, like a bucket or whatever. And I had to pee in there, but in order for me to pee, I had to call one of the nurses in order for them to help me to get up and go pee, which I was like, okay, whatever. But I didn't go pee the first time. Like, I just couldn't go pee. Like, I felt like I had to go pee, but I just couldn't. And then I ended up just sitting on the toilet with my water and, you know, chugging that thing down until I went pee. But the way it felt when I had to go pee, it's like, it just felt like, I don't know, like it was flowing easily coming out. Like, it just came out like when I went pee. Okay, well, that had happened, and basically I just, you know, took care of him. They the next day, I think they took him to get him circumcised. I did go to like a class. I did not want to go to that class. I just wanted to stay in my room, but it was mandatory, and it ended up being like 15 minutes long. I don't think any of the moms wanted to be there. Like, everybody was just there, and I think I was falling asleep too. I was tired, and they were like, it's probably gonna be longer from all the questions. And nope, nobody asked questions. I don't think, like I said, no, I don't think any of the moms wanted to be there. I didn't want to be there. I just wanted to be in my room with my baby and everything. And so that happened. And then, oh, and then I didn't feel hungry whatsoever. I wasn't hungry. I did eat though, but like, if I did eat, the mostly thing I ate was like just like junk. Oh, and then after I had gave birth, the one thing I wanted was, I wanted a Dr. Pepper, and that Dr. Pepper did not last very long. So I wanted a Dr. Pepper. Like, I was just, you know, drinking that like the whole time, because you're not able to eat or drink. And it's not that I was like hungry during it. It was just like I wanted like Dr. Pepper. Like, I was craving Dr. Pepper. So that happened. We stayed in the hospital, and then on the last day, I just filled out a bunch of paperwork, and then he got his pictures. And then after he got his pictures taken, oh, I did forget to mention that towards the class that I didn't want to go, I was like irritated about going too, because like they didn't let me sleep or anything, like the doctors or nurses, whatever. So I was like really irritated because like they kept coming in. Like it wasn't even just during the day, it was like at night too. Like they just kept coming in and like they wouldn't let me sleep and everything. So I was just irritated, like, and like I don't know, I was just like, it just like, so when the nurses came and talked to me, like I was just like, okay, like it got to the point where I was like that, because I wasn't like that in the beginning, but I was just like, I just want to relax, and that's it. And they didn't let me relax. They would come in like every 5 minutes, and like if it was coming in every 5 minutes to like come in to like do different things, then okay, but it was like a different nurse every time, and they would come in but they would do the same thing. So I was like, dude, the nurse already did it, why are you doing it again, right? So it was just really irritating. So it got to the point where I was just like, okay, and then, and why this and why that? So I wasn't being mean or anything, but when they had asked about the class, like I was like, do I have to go? Like, is like, why is it mandatory? I was just questioning them and everything. But there was this one nurse I had asked, I was like, well, why is it like this? And she kind of made me feel better about everything. I don't know, just I guess her vibe or whatever. But just to mention that again, and that was pretty much it. So yeah, everything happened, everything, my labor went pretty good, everything was great, and he's really fussy right now. I think he's just tired, but everything went great, and I was really happy with the way my labor and delivery went. So yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed the video, and I'm gonna have to get to this little kid because he is he's not fussy, he just, you know, wants his pacifier but can't seem to keep it in his mouth. And yeah, so I hope y'all enjoyed it. I hope y'all can relate, or just, you know, y'all like to hear of how my labor and delivery went. So yeah, like I said, I hope y'all enjoyed, and I'll see y'all in my next video.